And
Mhm.
speaking of which, siguro, maybe it's also one of the few strategies that helps us, to lower down the cost and be cost effective. So that's actually the next word, sir, cost effectiveness. So, siguro, what are some tips that you can give in budgeting that will yield cost effective results?
Sure. Siguro here I'll lie more on my experience. Like, so when I
Yeah,
was in college and even in PDAX, no,
yeah,
um, I was very heavy into budgeting, heavy because back in college I was like handling the budget of my batch, diba? Or handling the budget for an organization or for a team's event, diba?
yeah,
In PDAX, when I first joined, I was handling the budget of the whole company, right? And figuring out where to put
yeah.
how to lower cost for a company, right? And
Mhm.
one, I think, golden rule that I've found very helpful, lived up to like, sa UP kasi iba tayo eh. When we have events, diba, hindi tayo bibigyan ng budget ng any office eh. We
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
get the money ourselves, make the event
So,
successful, diba? Cost, I
mhm.
think, na push na pound na sa mind natin yung cost consciousness, cost effectiveness.
Mhm.
But the golden rule here for me is try to keep things as variable as possible, not fixed. Don't fix your costs. What do I mean by
Oh.
that? Um, let's say gusto mong mag-meal plan. I mean, sobrang na-excite ka may mga meal plan ka nakikita, right?
Mhm.
And then but the meal plan says hey, pay us diba, like 1 week in advance or 1 month in advance for your like week's meal or your month's meal.
Mhm.
That becomes a fixed expense, not a variable expense, because you're gonna pay
Yes.
lump sum in a fixed, and then parang prepaid siya, tas bibigay na nila sa'yo for the month or for the week. Don't do that, diba? Like, make it as variable as possible kasi baka
Right.
may G-Pack dumating na pwede ka na magpalibre, diba? Or
Yeah.
baka
Yeah.
may friend ka na may dinner na pwede, diba? I'm not teaching people to be, like, the term there is like, grepa, diba? I don't know if it's
Yes, sir.
but I'm saying like to be wise during the times, right? You
Yeah.
need to stay variable na. That's very true in personal life, but also very, 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 very true sa work or sa like managing finances in an
Mhm.
organization even. I'll give another example here na for an org naman back in college,
Mhm.
Um, we had an event very similar to like PFS, diba?
Mhm.
It was called NYBC, by National Youth Business Convention.
Yeah.
There was around like 200 people we flew in across the Philippines to Metro Manila for like this
Mm.
5 day convention. Ano yan, pang centennial year ng BA. And when we flew them in, syempre we had to give them hotels, diba?
Yeah.
Pagdating dun sa hotels, we we had the option to either book like 50 rooms na kaagad, locked, diba? And
Mhm.
yung 50 rooms na yun will parang cash in for 100 people. Pero we weren't sure kasi may mga hindi pa papasok na attendees, diba?
At
May
least.
pa sure. I think
Yeah.
as someone who's just logistics na, kailangan lang natin kasi we expect 200 people to fly in, diba?
Yeah.
Kulang muna yung 50 rooms, dapat 100 rooms na natin kaagad. Don't
Yeah.
do that, diba? Kung mag 100 rooms ka agad, you're gonna spend like, let's say, 7,000 a night, 2
Yeah.
nights, diba? 100 rooms, you're gonna spend 1.4 million na kaagad. Right? Don't
Yeah.
do that, right? What you should do is, doon muna tayo sa sure tayo. We know the confirmed paid sign-ups or whatever, yung bigay na ng passport na whatever, is 100 people, right? So yung 150 rooms muna tayo. Let's just negotiate with the hotel na, diba, pag dumami, sige, we may book 55 rooms, 60 rooms, but we start
Mhm.
this low end muna and keep it
Yeah.
variable and incrementally increase it
Sounds
as you need it then. And I think that's very important as a mindset in life.
That's actually very timely, sir. Especially as an area head for Cebu who has to
Oh,
mind the costs. Yeah.
you're,
Thank you so much for that, sir. Okay, so that's actually 5 words in already, and we are already learning so much about budgeting.
it's cool.
And so our viewers who are watching this, I hope you guys are taking down notes because for sure this will be helpful for you and especially to those uh who are interested in budget or just starting to manage their personal finances. We're discussing like how we allocate these resources. Yeah. So that's the next word, resources. So um how do you think can we effectively allocate resources, especially when it comes to budgeting, sir?
Sure. Hmm. Uh, so when I think of the word resources, siguro it's about financial and non-financial resources.
Mhm.
Like there are non-financial resources that can give you financial resources, that can give you wins, that can give you success rin eh. Financially or even not financially, right? I'll elaborate that. If you're wise as an individual, or like you're very good at salesman, let's say, right? You can actually convert more financial resources with
Yes,
your
yes.
salesmanship, right? So that's like a
Yeah.
non-financial to generate financial resources.
Yes, yes, yes.
And but then when you get I think this topic naman is in the end financial resources, diba? And like
Yeah.
how to maximize it or how to be very careful about how you spend, right? So I'll also tackle that in a bit, no? But I'll give some examples of how non-financial resources can help you generate financial resources even in college. I remember about, and I think UP trains us to an extent on how to hone our non-financial resource to be financial resource or financial resource creating. Um, fundraisers, for example, diba? Kung part ka ng finance team and you need to get money for your event. uh, Nako, I think I have done at least a dozen or like 3 dozen fundraisers back in college. Diba? From something as simple as yung nagbenta ng donuts. We used to do this thing called Baon Express na we'd sell Chinese food kasi wala masyadong Chinese food sa UP.
Yeah.
Outside, we'd sell like sweet and sour pork and rice meals. Like we'd earn like 30, 40 pesos per meal. In a day, if we get to sell like 50, 60 rice meals, we get like 2,000 pesos.
Yeah.
Diba? For our event, not for ourselves.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's a funny call. But I remember before yung mga film screenings at Trinoma. I don't remember.
Yeah.
So, we would buy out the cinema, diba? Tapos like get some random sponsor pa, may free chips, free water. Tapos we'd sell like yung mga Marvel na magagandang movie na palaging sold out, right?
Yeah.
We try to sell it like at I think if the ticket was like 220 pesos, we sell for like 300, probably 80 peso profit. Diba? If you have like 300 seats in the movie house, you're gonna get like 24,000 pesos there.
24,000, yeah.
You thought na ganun, right? But even, I remember, may time na, shucks, on the day of the screening, the screening like 3-4 p.m., nasa 20% of tickets ko nabenta namin. Shucks, patay kami, ubos pera namin yung capital, diba?
Yeah.
20% tickets. So we need to sell on the day itself.
Yeah.
Dalawa kami. We went to Trinoma. Naging scalper kami dun sa tickets sa movie house na. So yung line for the movie house to buy tickets, tumayo na kami for 2 hours or 2.5 hours.
Trying to sell the tickets.
And sold to people. Like, say, hey, you know what? You don't have to line up, right? Hey, may mga free small chips ka na. Actually, medyo worth it na yan, right? And hey, blah, blah, blah. Ito, kaya pa yung screening na to kasi may seats versus yan na paubos na 9 p.m. showing na meron. And then, guess what? Right? In 2 hours, we got to sell like all the tickets.
Yo, that's crazy.
And earn like that 20-30K, but so those are like resources then non-financial that can resources. So try to find ways to hone them, diba? To kind of like test them then in yourself back while you're at college. But then when you get the financial resource, how do you manage it then? Diba? I think it's also very important. And I think it's important to know na, diba, when you get resources, it's also parang, it's hiram lang din yan kay God, diba? Or hiram lang din yan. Don't hold too tightly, right? So if may friend ka who needs a meal, then and who you want to just bless then and give a meal, right? Or if you find someone like maybe, I don't know, janitor, guard, or someone who needs help, diba? And then you have the resource to do so, then also be the other side also to know when to share.
Thank you so much for that very insightful share on resources. I learned so much more on that, especially like yung non-financial resource that could be that you could turn. I think it's very important as well. And I feel like siguro much more layman's term right now. I feel like in the real world, those are what we call sometimes yung mga soft skills that could be
Right.
very, very good, especially when it comes to, in the corporate sector or even like, just in a normal life basis, honestly.
Correct. 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 Exactly.
Yeah.